Let's go!
NANI?
Come on, full value. Full value. Is he gonna have a kill here for it? Sure.
Oh, no!
Everything gone! Everything! Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video. If you love Ramp and FRELJORD and you just want to play the biggest units possible you can, then absolutely this is a deck list that you need to check out. So today's video, it's not going to be here's the set in stone, you know, here's the 40 cards that I would use. This is going to be kind of more of a development thing. So I'm doing the video today and I'm going to do a follow-up video on it, as well as at the time of recording this, I'm still going to be playing it tonight. So whatever deck code I post in the description will be the most up-to-date one, but I do want to be very clear this is going to be a work in progress over a couple days, a couple streams, and the gameplay videos that I put up after this one will be more of that refined list. But today we're going to be talking about, you know, what was the idea for the deck, what was really the backbone for it, going through what are the key cards of the, you know, ramp archetype of FRELJORD, and then, you know, why'd I go with PNZ and whatnot. So first and foremost, it's story time. So She Who Wanders, or also used to be known as She Who Wins, was a horribly busted card in the preview patches. It used to cost 9, it used to hit champions, and when this thing resolved, you know, you'd be playing against your opponent. Let's say they had 5 cards in hand, they'd be going down to like 4. So even if this were to hit champions, which I'm glad it doesn't for a balancing reason, it wouldn't be as strong as it was back then, because we have a lot of cards now that really do surpass that threshold, or at least are seeing play. Now, you know, there's some people out there, I'm sure, who would love to say, hey, let's play this, let's nuke Ezreal from their hand, then I don't have to worry about it. So no, it's not that strong anymore, and I will say that it is very polarizing. There's been some matchups where it's like, hey, I got 5 cards out of their hand with it, it's a big body with regeneration, they can't kill it, I'm just gonna win the game. There's been other times where it's like, well, I got 1 card out of their hand, I have a 10-10 now. It's still good, but, you know, it's not ending the game, you know, the same amount of pressure as, you know, maybe some of the other late game cards might have. But this is something that we haven't seen. I don't think anybody played this in set 1 after the nerf, and I don't think anyone's played it in set 2. So I was determined to go back to FRELJORD, make a ramp deck, see what we can do with it, and see how strong She Who Wanders can really be. So I am happy to report the card itself did do better on average, you know, from what at least I was expecting it to perform, and just regeneration continues to be a very strong effect. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that this does have the obliterate effect, so this is straight up removed from the game. So it's going to get around things like Undying, it's going to get around things like Rekindler. So, right, if you normally with Rekindler something has to die, well, obliterate doesn't count for that, right? So this effect is still very, very strong, and I think this is a card that it's, you know, kind of on the radar as always for Riot in terms of how they're going to balance it. Because if you have such a strong effect, that's going to negate an entire, you know, archetype or design philosophy really of a region. You don't want it to be as oppressive where everybody's playing it all the time, but, you know, it's going to be good in some matchups. So very strong effect. I love to see it, and it's just a really cool animation when it happens. So all around, I love this card. I wish it would see a little bit more play, but, you know, it's just okay right now. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, why not just play a War Mothers list, right? And that's very valid. I'm sure if I wanted to just focus on a War Mothers list, I could make another one, and yes, it would most likely still be better than this, just because of how strong War Mothers is comparatively. The downside, keep in mind, is that War Mothers doesn't trigger these, you know, on-play effects because it has to be from your hand. So there is a limitation in War Mothers, and I also think going forward, Riot is going to always kind of balance around that. So I'm expecting us to see more on-play or, you know, plunder type effects where it has a much more narrow condition, right? Because otherwise, Shadow Isles can also, you know, cheat it back with Harrowing, the Splinter Soul. There's a lot of these other like summon mechanics that you can really start to abuse and get maybe too much value out of, right? We saw this with like Rekindler and Nivea, and she dies and she gets in her egg, right? There's other ways that it can be a bit too strong if you leave it unchecked. So that's another reason why I want to do this. I think that from a going forward perspective, for Targon at least, I don't think we're going to see a lot of the on summon stuff. I'm going to expect it to be more on play and kind of more along this line in terms of how they want to design the cards. So other than that, I did mention it's going to be a more of like an overall review in terms of the other cards that I want to include in the list. So probably one that's going to be surprising is Warding Stones. And this is something I want to mention that, you know, it's been good or really great or really bad depending on what matchup you're going against and how you feel about this card, right? If I remember correctly, it used to cost 2, I think, and then they bumped it up the cost to 3, and then people just stopped playing it. You know, 4 HP is still really, really difficult to remove, and again, depending on what decks you're going up against, especially if they're slightly slower, then Warding Stones can just stick around, get you that extra value, and you can still do what I always refer to as like the key skip in this, is that you play this on 3, and then on your next turn, you're going to have 5 mana, so you can just immediately play Hearthguard, which is still one of the better 5 drops that you're going to want to play immediately, because then it buffs the rest of your deck, so it's still one of the important things that you're doing. And now we have 6 cards that can do that, right? So Warding Stones being one of them, and then of course the one that everybody's more familiar with is Catalyst of Aeons. So general disclaimer here, right, because Catalyst of Aeons is burst speed, it also has healing. This is typically the card that you want to play in this more ramp or mana acceleration type of deck. So if you only have room for one, for whatever reason, Catalyst of Aeons is going to be the pick. However, I got to live the dream on stream, I think it was last week, where I had triple Warding Stones, a Catalyst of Aeons, or maybe it was just triple Warding Stones, whatever the math works out to be. But I had a turn 6 War Mother's Call against somebody, and it was just the most beautiful thing you could imagine. So obviously that's like the highest of high rolls that you can have. Then, you know, the value of War Mothers is going to take away the game. Obviously that's like, you know, the 1 in 100 chance, not going to happen all that often, but still super fun when it does. Other than that, and just in terms of like key Freljord cards, I think it just goes without saying, even though Burn is a little bit, you know, out of the picture, if you don't have Shadow Isles, you need some kind of healing. So Tavern Keeper really does feel that role, right? Heals you for 3. It has 3 attack, 3 health. So it kills things like Crimsons if you're still, you know, seeing those on your opponent's side where they have like the 2/3 and then they have like transfusions and stuff. So just to slow down the other decks, and especially even in some Demacia cases, right? Just having that 3 attack is really, really important. And you don't really hate seeing this, even if it's in the mid game. Sometimes if you're going against like Keg Control or something, healing for 3 is just like okay, right? It's not the best in some matchups, but still just a decent body. And if you can buff it with Hearthguard, it becomes a obviously 4/4 or 5/5, and it really does help you in quite a variety of different ways. Now again, if they're playing Latros or something, doesn't matter, they're going to cut your Nexus in half, but then you can play it after, right, and then try to stabilize the game a little bit more that way. So know your matchups, know how, you know, where it's good, where it's bad, what have you, and you can kind of go from there. The other card to mention here, and again, this is going to be more of a, are people playing more low to the ground aggro decks? Is it more a mid-range format? Avalanche is really a card that it's going to be the best card in your deck if you just get to completely board wipe, let's say, a Kinku Elusives player, other than like the 2/3 that survived, sure, whatever. It kills all the relevant units you care about, right? Or if you're going in against a more mid-range heavy matchup, it's really difficult. However, I do want to stress the one really good thing about Ramp, and the card that I will always say to play, and I don't think the new Freljord champion for next set's going to do anything for us, is Anivia. So this does then give you the opportunity where you can swing with Anivia, deal 2 damage to your entire board, and then play Avalanche to deal 2 more. Obviously, keep in mind the pacing matters. If you know that your Anivia is going to die anyways in combat, then you do the Avalanche beforehand, because you can't Avalanche after when she's an egg and then you kill your own unit. It's really bad, right? So the sequencing of the plays do matter quite a bit, but getting to deal 4 damage to their entire board, or sometimes just 6, right, if you have another Avalanche, if you've been holding on them, is very, very strong, as you might expect. Anivia has just been a great card for, you know, attrition perspective and just kind of being down the board turn over turn, where it's not the fastest win, which is admittedly a problem with the deck compared to like some other things. If you think about like Deep and Atrocity, right, it's not as fast as we might want it to be, but it can win the game in other ways, or at least stall the game out in other ways that are relevant to help you get there, right? So Harsh Winds kind of being the main one here. We have 1 copy, maybe it's supposed to be 2, but if they go for the Atrocity, you just frost it and it's a good time. So I would, again, is in terms of like a core package, those few Freljord cards that I've talked about, including a one of Harsh Winds as well, that's kind of more of the key package I would expect to stay in this deck going forward and really help kind of pull together this archetype, right? Whether you go War Mothers or if you go the She Who Wanders route, you know, there's key pieces that you want to see in both decks, and then it's really up to you to say which one do I want to play instead. So other than that, right, I know if you've gotten this far in the video, you're like, why on earth are you playing PNZ, right? Why just Shadow Isles? That's what everybody would say. So this was a bit more of a experimentation spot, and I know a lot of people are also then going to say here, okay, well, if you're playing Progress Day for the draw, you could just play Glimpse. That's true, right? So Glimpse is still going to draw you 2 cards. Well, the reason why I like Progress Day better in this case is because you're playing such an aggressive ramp deck. It's not hard to get to 8. This also draws you more, it reduces the cost, and you don't lose a unit on board. And I think that's something that's very important. As we refine this list over time, right, we really have to put a strong value on our units who are being able to stay on the board and pressure our opponents beyond just Anivia, right? Again, Anivia is fine, but it's not always going to close out the game itself. And one of the other things that I was, thinking about doing is even including Plaza Guardian, because once you have enough spells, this very easily becomes a 6/6 quick attack for, 2 or 3. And then if you hit that off a Progress Day, it can reduce it even further, if not just make it free outright. So, and obviously in the video, or in this video for the version we have right now, this isn't in the list, but this is something I'm definitely going to test out, maybe more on stream. Again, this is more about what is the archetype, what are the key cards, and why did I make some of those choices. And then in the next video, I'll have like the version 2, right? We'll just call it, because this is something that I've really enjoyed playing, and I've been winning quite a few games with it already. And I think that there is something here, and I think with the next expansion right around the corner, this is more along the types of deck that we should be thinking about because of what we might be getting in FRELJORD and PNZ. So again, no spoilers here, but I have reasons to believe that I should be very excited for Ramp coming up, based on voice lines that are available on the League of Legends wiki page, right? There's like a lore section, and then there's a voice lines. You can find it. If you need it, just let me know in the comments, and I can pull it up. So other than Progress Day, what else are we looking for? So I think Vi in general is a card that, other than the one time that it appeared in like Demacia Bannerman, it's just a good mid-game value challenger unit, right? So the big disclaimer that I want to add here is that this is not a level up Vi deck, right? I actually did get to do that on stream, and I did level her up, but that's not how it should normally go. This is just a make it a 4/4, make it a 5/4. It has tough and challenger. Just use it to control the board to your advantage. And then the other thing that was really interesting I found out is that Vault Breaker can actually be a very good spell for us in just getting in the extra damage, right? So generally, once you get to the late game, Hearthguard is going to buff up your entire deck. You're going to have very beefy units that are going to survive combat, so you're able to attack turn after turn. And then sometimes you're just like, all right, Vault Breaker, get +8, kill you, right? Or, deal that big chunk of damage that you need. And outside of, say, a Vengeance or a Frost effect, well, limited depending on how much health they have and all that sorts of stuff. Let's just say Harsh Winds or Vengeance, right? That damage is most likely going to be going through, which, obviously play around how much mana they have, what's likelihood that they have, and all that stuff. But surprisingly, I was really happy to have Vault Breaker, and it actually won me. Well, one game it didn't directly win me the game. Another game it did. But it applied a lot of pressure, and I think that's something that should be mentioned here in just terms of overall value that it could provide. And then kind of no surprise, right? So Mystic Shot and Gotcha, just more of that targeted removal that you would want to see. FRELJORD by itself really doesn't have a lot of those removal tools, right? That's why other people would use Shadow Isles. But what I do like about this, and I actually might be swapping Gotcha for Get Excited. I do like the idea that this can just go face when you need it, so you do get that little bit of extra damage. And then we have the Thermogenic Beam, which is a 3 of. If you play with this card, it's just good if you know the matchup very well. It can get things like Jinx off the board, even if they have a suit up, right? Because we have like the Mystic Shots and the Gotchas, we can manipulate our mana to get it for just the right amount most of the time, the vast majority of the time, I should say. So Thermo Beam is just good old removal, right? It's not as strong as Vengeance, but in a lot of the cases, if they play like a Sejuani and that's gonna be their big play, you can kill the Sejuani and not have to worry about like a Fury, right? Thermo Beam is just still a very, very strong removal option that, the first one is generally free because people don't really know about this region combination. And then the second one onward, right, it can be a little bit more difficult to resolve because then your opponent's expecting it. The other thing that I'll mention, especially if you're going against the more, low to the ground, either if it's a burn deck or if it's elusives, don't be afraid to just fire off a Thermo Beam for 1 or 2 damage. Don't let it sit in your hand for too long, because then otherwise you run the risk of later in the turns, especially around like 4, 5, and 6, where suddenly they develop a threat that you want to kill. Maybe it's like a duo before they go all in, and then you have to spend 6 to kill their duo while they're still doing other things, right? It creates some very awkward scenarios being at slow and how you might want to use your mana otherwise, but that's absolutely a balancing thing overall. Kind of some of the other things that are in this consideration that I think would be really good is Hextech Transmog. So I've talked about this card a lot in other decks or just for utility reasons, right? So one thing it can do, Ladros is still a problem. So if you're experiencing a lot of Ladros decks, right, you can turn their Ladros into one of your weakest units on the board, or one of their own, you know, weakest units, right? They're still going to hit you with that huge skill effect, but you don't have to worry about the recursion over and over. And it's going to sound crazy, but the other thing I really like, and this is more of something I thought about today sort of deal, I actually do like the idea of trying to throw in some Poros in here just because of how heavy our ramp is. And a lot of the times when I've been playing this deck, at least in kind of the first draft of it, you know, we spend our hand really quick, and you know, we have 10 mana, our opponent's on like 6, and then we don't have a lot of ways to really refill it. And then the other thing that's also nice about this is you can play around, you know, having your She Who Wanders, making sure that's hitting the board for value, and then on the next turn you can play this spell and then start to build up your Poros without really having to worry about She Who Wanders hitting them. So this might be a little bit too cheeky, but at the same time, you're telling me that I can actually run, you know, Poro snacks and get this spell to resolve, then yeah, I'm all about it. So, you know, we might have to switch the list a little bit where like Mighty Poros come in, because just a 3/3 with Overwhelm that's then getting buffed by this is really strong. But hey, that's kind of part of this adventure and why I want to, you know, start working on this deck list, because again, it's something no one else is really playing, and hey, we still have 2.5 weeks until the next set, so might as well do something fun with it. So hopefully you enjoy this deck and the games I'm going to be having here posted here after this section of the video. And then again, I am going to be doing like a part 2, which is going to be more revisions, more updates. Maybe we try the Poro version of the deck, right? And then we'll talk about like the pros and cons style of content. So again, if you enjoy Legends of Runeterra content and you want to see more of it, please make sure to like the video and drop a subscription. That does help me out a ton. But otherwise, you can find me streaming on Twitch Monday through Friday at Cosmic Plays. And of course, I'm doing all this stuff with TLG or Team Leviathan Gaming for our meta reports. You can always look forward to that on Monday. So with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one and enjoy the games. See you next time. So this is probably like D&D Teemo, I guess. So they just want to spam Teemos on the board, which means we probably don't have to worry about one early. So we're going to start hard mulligan here for ramp. Cool. Somebody's clearly playing Protect the Teemo here. We could save our spell mana. Like, they can have a Thermo Beam here, which is super awkward. I'm gonna guess that they don't, though.
The Order rewards its faithful.
I got ways to find me mushroom.
All right, getting a barrier there is pretty good for our opponent. I don't think we even used the Mystic Shot on this. How much do they care about that damage? That's kind of weird. So they probably put the barrier on here just to protect it.
This is our homeland.
I guess we can try to get both things off their board. If we like top deck a Tavern Keeper, I guess that's good. Whatever. I'm gonna be a little bit more defensive here. Yep, mushrooms go in, no surprise there. All right, well that is pretty funny. And our opponent has a very full hand. I think we're just gonna go for the Catalyst instead. I guess we don't have to. So like we can save this for healing later too, and then like next turn we're setting up Catalyst into Anivia early.
They're out there.
I think this is fine.
I'll spot 'em.
You went 3-1 with deep, you mean, KTP? If so, very nice.
Think I'm still like a yodel in uniform.
Another day in the field.
There's
You
Teemo.
burnham kid.
I really don't want to nuke my own board here. I'm gonna guess they have a way to save Teemo, right? He's gonna level up. He has 2 of the puff caps. So it's kind of like a deny or something. And then we set up the Anivia. It was deep. Nice. I mean, that's what I've been climbing with. Sorry, Nightbot, I'm almost out of water. So we have 5. Yeah, so we're gonna go exactly gotcha into Catalyst here.
I'll scout ahead. Grow free. Ooh, quite a collection.
Oh, there we go. He went under. They could have like a twin discipline here, right?
This is our homeland.
Yep, there it is.
Not for everyone.
So big old copy all the things by our opponent,
Something
and we can play a big
ancient
Anivia.
stirs. A new era begins.
Yeah, just ping her in the Discord and ask. I mean, I don't know offhand. Oh, gosh darn it, no. We actually have damage! No, the immobile stones could have attacked here. For shame.
It's too late for you.
For shame. Do you ever feel like allowing 2 regions per deck was a mistake? No, because then I'd just be playing Shadowverse. Oh, that's rude. Well, hey, we did kill their Teemo.
The FRELJORD's eternal guardian.
They did reset our buff, which is really sad.
Skill and grace.
Vulcan, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, well, there's the vibe, finally.
The dark beckons. The spirit of winter.
Again, so these can just die now. We don't even care, right?
Secure me tail. Start the day.
Oh, I should have,
Wrapped in
I should have saved this for their Teemo turn, right? I was thinking about, like, letting us draw the extra card and we can block this. Yeah, our opponent's all in on this, puff caps till you die plan.
This'll take the chill off.
All right, I will not forget to attack with Warding Stones this time. Holy shit. We only I guess we have 39 puff caps now. So they're not gonna have a ruination here or anything.
Here comes the punchline.
So we have like this into gotcha, right?
Oh, if mushrooms could talk for once, am I right?
Trouble coming at ya.
I guess we just pull this here. And it sucks because like we don't want them to have, we don't want to get the damage on Vi, and if like they try to go here, it doesn't. Or I guess they could have a block, right? So I guess Vi does have to absorb the damage. Yeah, whatever.
Excuse you.
PNZ Ionia is always super obnoxious. True. I'm hoping with like when Targon comes though, we get some other region combinations that feel, you know, very strong with their effects. Sure. I gotta save this for like the Teemo, right?
There they go.
We have a very good I hate you Teemo hand. We just gotta believe in the heart of the cards.
Beauty charms while claws take hold.
Or our opponent hits like a progress day and we just cry, right? We are just bleeding out. Oh no 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 no. No, absolutely not. I know a deck they're playing now.
The order rewards its faithful. I will play my part.
We need like a really cheap spell to play so we can get the Vi to level up. That's not cheap.
Snow, wind, and ice. Freeze!
All right, we are looking super dead.
Spring does not pity winter.
We need a heal.
Relax,
Jeez.
Sassy.
Yeah, I mean, they just block everything here. That's fine. I mean, there's no way we live another turn, right? You got it.
Shadow.
We fight for one FRELJORD.
Yeah, we have all the harsh winds, right? But it's not gonna matter. Yep, they won. They have 12 health. There's no way we come back. Well done, opponent. Well done. All right, they're gonna finish this off with some burn then. I mean, it doesn't even matter that we stop the freeze, right?
The chill before the storm.
We don't have the ping here to punish them.
Bring me the calm of an ice-shrouded world.
Yep, that should do it. 65 mushrooms.
Ice runs in our veins. I bring the storm. Eat this.
Watch them not have a burn for the last point, right? Oh my god. Please, please let this happen. Yeah! We did it!
And that's a knockout.
All right, so discard aggro of some sort. So Avalanche, Tavern Keepers, that kind of stuff is going to be really good here. I don't know that we want two. I feel like one's an okay keep. Cool, and some Mystic Shots. So great. We have a good amount of early disruption, lots of healing. We got some stuff to do here.
For the main event.
All right, so we know Draven's in their hand. We're going to take two here. So we're going to pass just in case we top deck the Aeons here. If they develop something, then we can play our Sentry and then like ping something for one. But otherwise, we're just going to wait to see what they do here.
Of course I'm ready.
Okay, well, that is a perfect target to hit for three. Well, we will take this. Do I know any... I don't know. I'm not a super big fan. Like, there's nothing wrong with the meta, per se. There's just not a deck that I enjoy playing right now. So I've just been playing deep. I did a video on it. I'm like 9-3. 9-3 currently in Masters with it. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. So here we're just going to play the Sentry, block their 2-1. We're going to take the 3 here, but we're going to start working towards this Vi to challenge them back. Ooh, or they just don't attack with it at all? That's fine. We can open up with the attack on the way back too, right? No, I mean, hey, you know, at the end of the day, we're this late into the season. It's gonna be very difficult to find a deck that's like, I enjoy playing this always, you know, sort of deal. Ooh, good discipline by our opponent there. Yikes. Well, that hurts quite a bit. And then they have 6 coming back at us.
What will you have?
I think we actually have to shoot the flame chompers, awkwardly enough. Because if they open attack right, they can just take our 3/3 and we can't get value off this, so... this feels bad, but depending on how they develop, we still have double Mystic Shot here. And or the Vi's gonna come down and get the punishment here. And if they, like, discard their hand when we try to kill the Draven to trade up to it, I guess that's fine. Hey, just make sure you're doing your quests and whatnot, right?
Rules are made.
And hopefully you'll catch up in no time.
People.
You should try blinking sometime.
So this hurts us a bit. We can value block with the Vi, right? Because they have, I guess they could do like Mystic Shot. That's 3 plus a. Ooh, they could have Mystic Shot. I think we just have to vibe on this. Oh, they have another Flame Chompers. All right, well, that hurts. That hurts a lot, actually.
Ready the torches.
So we want to block here because it gets damage, and then we can do Avalanche and Anivia. Ezreal TF is good if you put in the time to practice with it, but whew, I hate... That deck hates me. Right, now the problem here is that they can discard their hand and flip Jinx, so that'll give us the information if we go for the buy or not. Yeah, so it looks like our opponent's gonna go for the discard play, which makes sense. Really bummed that they get the flip here. Ooh, they didn't go for it. Okay. Do they have another one in hand? That's kind of weird.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
Do we even want to go that low on Thermal Beam? Right, so they don't have a Jinx, or they would have just played it. So it's kind of a tough call here. Well, I'm just playing in normals right now just to try to like work on this list. So like my heart tells me I'm supposed to Mystic Shot this, or sorry, Mystic Shot this, and then go for the Thermo Beam for 1. But if they have like the Miracle second Jinx, I'm just kind of SOL. Where we can like save this and we have a Mystic Shot here at least. Heal is really good. All right, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Finest gear for Piltover's finest.
Oh no, that I don't feel great anymore. No. darn it.
One girl wrecking crew.
So we have like a turn to answer this, and we're just in a really bad spot.
I could use two of me.
Okay, so they're just hard digging for the burn. That makes sense.
God axes need victims.
Gosh darn it.
There's the 1-2 punch.
Look up for reavers. I've carved meat bigger than you.
All right, she dies if I block that way. Let's not be dumb. Because I can do like Mystic Shot as a follow-up, right? Like Mystic Shot, Beam. We can also do just like Anivia. But then she gets... Gosh darn it. If they top deck something insane though, then I get punished, right? For not... For like trying to save this. No, I think that's our lose scenario. We have to do this. Right, because then Anivia gives us the rest of the board.
Signal fires. Who's gonna close up?
Non-optimized.
Oh, they discarded double Jinx.
The spirit of winter awaits.
Oh no!
Let's soar.
I'm nervous that they don't have just like the surrender here.
Strike them down.
My beautiful face.
The party has arrived.
Leave your bags in the door.
I mean, this Thermo Beam is super awkward, right? Because we have to spend our entire turn to do it. I'm waiting for them to drop like a Farron on us. And just be like, well, I guess I lose now.
Draven. Hey, kiddo. Dig your get up.
No, they surrendered. You're no fun.
The cycle.
I couldn't tell if he was BMing or if he just was like, I'm gonna lose because I discard both my Jinx.